lot of what I'm talking about, I kind of centralize around that iceberg theory I talk about. So if you go on our website and go to 2021, go down two of the bullet points, and it's right there. It's under Vince's Corner, by the way. You can check it out. Okay. So anyway, if you have any questions, you can let us know about that too. All right. I'm going to begin. I forgot to mention too, the Law of Attraction workshop, we have posted the poster on it, and he made a mistake and he had June on there instead of July. And so we just corrected it tonight. It is July. Okay. I didn't think it'd be in June. It's next year. Yeah, I'm going to do the reading tonight from Each Day in the Beginning, which is the daily meditation book for women in recovery. And I took the reading from March 20th. For too many of us, feelings of shame, even self-hatred, are paramount. No one of us has a fully untarnished past. Every person, and even every child, experiences regret over some action. We are not perfect. Perfection is not expected at a divine point. We are expected to take our experiences and grow from them, to move beyond the shame of them, to celebrate what they have taught us. Each day offers us a fresh start at assimilating all that we have been, which has gone before us, enriches who we are now. Through the many experiences we've survived, we have been prepared to help others. We can let go of our shame and know instead that it sweetens the nuggets of the wisdom we can offer to others. We are alike. We are not without faults. Our trials help another to smoother sailing. I will relish the joy at hand. I can share all my wisdom. All painful past brighten the future when openly shared. I wanted to use that tonight because this week and next week, I'll be concentrating on what I refer to as the healing process of shame. Last week, we talked about the masks of shame, but I really believe very deeply in the concept of how the healing process actually works. You know, it's interesting sometimes when you look at this, you look at life. Some of the major issues that kind of create shame in the course of our journey are things such as fear, guilt, worry, control. All these things are elements of shame. And the one element that can really help them to grow, to get better, is that we go through a process of healing and a process of learning how to love ourselves. And the reading said it so beautifully, in being able to look at the things that happen to us in our experiences, to learn from them and grow from them, even though it's painful sometimes going through them. The other aspect we have to look at when we do this is to realize the fact that we're all human beings. So we all have our little idiosyncrasies, our little secrets, the things that we do, things that happen. And in order to really begin this process of what I call shame reduction, and I'll do two elements. This week, we'll talk about shame reduction. And then next week, we'll talk about healing the shame that binds us on the inside. But shame reduction is a powerful process because I've learned something in my own journey. If I keep stuff in here and I keep it up here, it becomes like a balloon after a while. Our secrets can kill us. They can stress us out. They can make us crazy. But when I'm able to finally start releasing them, opening them up, letting them out, all of a sudden, they're not as big as they were before. But everything we do when we talk about shame reduction is a process. The purpose of it is to reduce the shame down to a point where it becomes manageable, where I can finally embrace it, learn from it, grow from it, and let it become my teacher. Every experience in life is a teachable moment. And so sooner or later, that process I have to go through to get to that is the hard part, because it's not something that happens quickly. I've said it so many times, there's no magic in doing this. There's no magic in recovery. Recovery is hard work. Growth is hard work. Learning is hard work. But being able to do it in a way in which it won't overwhelm us. Myself and all of you, I know, one time or another, have gone through different elements of shame. We've done things sometimes that it takes a while for us to get honest about and to talk about. And the secret of it all is to do it slowly and do it gradually. I look at my own life, I look at my own journey, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that for a long period of time, I didn't share with anybody. I was embarrassed. I basically hid a lot of stuff. And when you hide stuff, you know what you do? You try to dump it on somebody else indirectly. I've learned over the years, I can't take on somebody else's shame too. When you take on somebody else's shame, you become a sponge. And once you take it on, it becomes yours. That's the scary part. And so we have to learn not to accept shame from others, but simply to be able to deal with our shame and not to be able to dump it on others. For a long period of time, I played the game that many of us play. It's called the blame game. And I blamed everybody. I blamed my family. I blamed the church. I blamed the institutions. I blamed the country. I blamed everything. I had the old crazy philosophy. If only the whole entire institution would change, then I would be okay. That's very logical, I know. It's very sick too. But the bottom line is we're constantly looking for something on the outside to change, where real change takes place on the inside. It takes place physically in your physical body. Your body is going to go through a lot of changes. And as you get older, you have to look at it differently. And sometimes so many of us have a tendency to fight change, to fight transition, to fight moving on. Because I don't want to do it. And yet it's part of it. I experienced this quite a while ago. I went to Sam's Club and they have this special. We can get 40 bottles of water in this gigantic case. So I decided, what the heck? It's a good bargain. So I went to pick it up. I couldn't pick it up. I said, well, maybe I better look for the 24 bottle one. Now this lady was standing there and she saw me, came over to me and she said, can I help you, sir? I said, sure. She reached down, grabbed the case of water, put it right on my cart. They picked it up like it was nothing. And I looked at her and I said, thank you. There's a part of me that got embarrassed. There's a part of me that said, why couldn't I do that? Why do I have to depend on somebody else? See what happens, then you begin to experience that shame on the inside. It goes back to a lot of things in life. I got to accept the fact that there's things I can't do anymore today. So I got to learn. Most powerful secrets in doing shame reduction is learning how to ask for help, learning how to acknowledge where I am, what's going on in my life, and then be able from there to process it and work it through. And that's where guilt, fear, worry, constantly trying to change things, trying to figure it out, making ourselves crazy. We're codependents, we're adult children, we're addicts. We have to try to figure everything out, try to analyze life. And guess what? You'll do it probably till 10 years after you're dead. That's why I tell you, take your books with you when you go. You probably have to continue to work on it. It's totally amazing. It's part of being human, it's part of the human condition. It's part to realize the fact that we all have our little things, our humanness. I don't tell too many people, a lot of mine, I do tell them to my sponsor, but the first girl I ever kissed, I was 29 years old and I was a priest and she was a nun. How's that one for a little secret? And basically, you want to talk about guilt. You want to talk about a ton of guilt. You want to talk about going through a lot of changes. It's totally amazing. And you got to look back on these things today and I can kind of laugh about them because I was able to share them. I was able to talk about them. I've seen people bury themselves in shame and live in shame for a long period of time. There's a lady I know today, she's in recovery. She's almost 20 years in recovery now, but I worked with her when she was 62, 63 years old, and basically she came to visit me that's quite a while ago, came to visit me and she said to me, she said, Vince, I've been carrying a secret for a long period of time in my life. I have beat myself unmercifully. I beat myself up with addiction. I've been through 3 marriages. I've destroyed everything. My family doesn't even talk to me anymore. My kids are alienated from me. And I know I gotta finally deal with this. She got into recovery. I did her 4th and 5th step with her. And she talked about the stuff that she had gone through when she was a child of being abused, severely abused, what she went through. And so because of that abuse, she ended up abusing herself, then abusing others, putting herself in all kinds of crazy situations. The shame literally had taken over her whole entire life. And so I had to work with her to start this process of slowly but surely having her begin to relieve it, begin to do this process called shame reduction, to begin to take it down. It's like peeling the onion. Don't try to go to the center of the onion first. You take it all a little bit at a time. Go slow, go gradual. My first sponsor in my OA program used to tell me that because being a codependent, I wanted to get to the core right away. He used to say to me, take it easy, Vince. We'll do a little bit each day. A little bit is enough. Don't overwhelm yourself. Because learning about yourself, getting in touch with yourself, beginning to release things takes a long period of time. You know, it's interesting, last Saturday, I was talking to my sponsor. My sponsor is in California, and I do an 1.5-hour session with my sponsor on Zoom every week. And we had I'm actually working with her again. And a while ago, I did my 4th and 5th step, went through the steps for the 3rd time. And what I find really interesting, even though I've done 4 steps before, each time I do them, something else comes up, another piece of the onion, another piece begins to come out. And some things I shared with my sponsor this time were things I couldn't even just began to remember. They came back to me. It's like your memory starts to work. This computer begins to happen, but it takes you to be ready for that. See, that's why I'm trying to tell people, shame reduction is a process. And the purpose of it is to take those layers off, to reduce the shame, to make it become smaller and smaller and smaller. Because I hate to tell you this, but whatever happened in your life, whatever you've gone through, even the traumas you've gone through, they're part of your history. They're part of who you are. And in time, you will have to sooner or later start to face them. But the human being is very powerful and very beautiful, especially the human mind. That's why I love it so much. It's almost like God has this way of only allowing us to deal with stuff we're ready to deal with, and when we're ready to deal with it. And there's some stuff we're not ready. It's not, we can't go there yet. We may not even remember what it is because we're going through a process in life, which is so important. And part of shame reduction is learning what I call the grieving process. See, try to realize shame has been a part of each and every one of us. All these things, the worry, the fear, the guilt, all these things, they've been part of us to such a point, they become normal to us. They become like a relationship. May not be a good relationship, but it's a relationship. Then we become used to them. And as a result, we fall back into these patterns naturally and normally. But then we have to be able to realize the fact that to actually start to go through a process of change, to face them, to face our behaviors, to face the things inside of us. It's almost like I'm watching something I was comfortable with begin to come to an end. I'm watching a change take place. And this may sound sick, but I even start to miss my old behaviors. That's why you're going through a grieving process. We deny them at first, then we get angry. The anger comes out in all the crazy places. Then we go through bargaining, trying to figure it out. Then we have to feel the sadness till eventually we come to an acceptance of all the things we go through in the course of our journey in life. And that's the key. See, I think we have to learn that. And the iceberg's theory puts something right in the center of the theory. It talks about something called self-hatred. We are so tough on ourselves. We're hard on ourselves. We push ourselves. And so many times we've done things in life, all of us have, myself included, that we're not very proud of. And for a long period of time, you hope and you pray every day that nobody will ever find out about it. But we live in a world today where there ain't too much you can hide because somehow they'll find it. So it's a lot better just to process it, deal with it, let it out, and begin to work on it. We live in a world that's very crazy, very dysfunctional, very insane. Even now, we're dealing with a virus, and that virus, it doesn't want to go away. Just keep changing faces, changing different directions. And so we have to do a lot of adjusting, a lot of changing, a lot of going through things. We also find ourselves getting very angry, going through changes. We have a lot of violence in our world today, so fear comes back up. All these things are normal. They're part of the journey. They're part of life. And what we're experiencing is not something new. We're experiencing Mother Nature trying to give us a message. We're experiencing the heat, the different types of things. It's amazing. We're saying this morning at the gym, we're all complaining about the heat. And then in a few months, we'll be complaining about the cold. Then we'll complain about something else. But complaining is part of life. Being able to process stuff out is part of life. So we're going to go through things that will happen. School teachers, working in the school system as Pat does. You experience all different types of personalities, individuals, people. Where I work, the same thing, the same concept. Whenever we're in life, we're going to experience diversity. Some we'll like, some we won't like. And some will even sometimes get so judgmental that we put shame on others because we can't accept who they are, where they are, how they are, what they believe, what they're all about, these types of things. And that's all part of the process of getting to a point where I have to stop looking at everybody else's stuff and begin to look within, to look at my own stuff. Now, I'm kind of an expert at this because for 44 years of my life, I spent my life looking at everybody else's stuff. I got pretty good at it. I got pretty good at all this kind of crazy stuff. But then I realized the hardest part of my journey, the hardest part of my growth was when I turned that corner and open that door and begin to look into my own mirror, look into my own behaviors, to look at my own life. Was it easy? No. Is there magic in it? No. It's a process. But I've learned something. I can't do it alone. I need people in my life, people I can trust, people I can share with, people I can process stuff with. And I've been grateful over the years for those individuals and people in my life. I'm able to open doors and be able to work on things. And the more I'm able to get in touch with stuff, the more I'm able to grow. And so physically, yes, we're going to go through changes. You get wonderful things happen to you as you get older. It's fun getting older. You get these wonderful marks on your hands all the time. They're called age spots. Aren't they great? Fantastic. I call them battle scars. So I give them different names now. I tell younger people, don't worry about it. You'll get them someday. Don't worry. It comes along with the territory. What can I tell you? And that's okay. Because you realize it'll never happen to me. Yeah, sure it will. It's all part of the process of life, the growing, the things we go through. We're going to experience illness. We're going to experience different things. We're not going to be able to do some of the things we used to be able to do. Change takes place on a physical level. Your body goes through changes. Emotionally, many of us have suffered from what I call emotional constipation, which means that we've held stuff in for so long that we can't even smell our own stuff on the inside. We have to be able to begin to deal with it and process it and let it out. And believe me, it's not easy. It's like pulling nails sometimes, trying to get it out. And, it's almost like sometimes you got to just take your time. We need a good emotional physic. Recovery gives that to us in steps 4 through 9. I call that the emotional physics steps. I have to look at things, straighten out things, work on things in the course of my journey. But what I'm doing is I'm actually doing shame reduction by doing all these things, because what I'm doing is I'm able to look at things in my life and finally get to that point where I can accept them embrace them, let them become part of who I am, learn from them, grow from them. Like the reading said, all these things in life, even though you may feel embarrassed, you may feel like I don't want to share this stuff, once you're able to find people that will listen, people you can share with. And for me, it was therapists, it was good sponsors, it was people I was connected to, it's people I have good relationships with, because I needed to be around people that will listen. They'll let me just start the process of opening up, of sharing, without giving me advice and telling me what to do. You'll be able to finally just process my feelings. So nice to have feelings, to get upset, to go through changes, to have joy, to have celebration, to have a combination of everything. It's also fun sometimes to be able to realize the fact that we're all different. God, look around this room tonight. Nobody's the same. Isn't it wonderful? It's fantastic. And over time, that'll keep changing too. That's the fun part about life. But see, there's that process. And so spiritually, we even grow, we change. We have to go through spiritual shame sometimes. I went through a lot of it, growing up in the background I grew up in, growing up in the Italian Catholic school system. I mean, I had a ton of shame dumped on top of me. My even relationship with God was shame-based. But I'm learning as I do my own self and get in touch with stuff. The old stuff still comes back every once in a while. But I've learned through recovery, I can take what I can use and leave the rest. I can learn new things in new directions. So I've learned also the things that I believe, the things that work for me, I cannot project onto anybody else. We all got to find what works for us, how our connection to our higher power, our higher presence, whatever you choose to call it. That's why the founders understood all this. I mean, you want to really look at this in a very powerful way. We talk about shame and shame reduction. The founders of AA, they had a ton of shame they were dealing with. The lives they went through, what they did, big time. And yet, they were able to get together, start talking about it, work on it, open it up, help others to start the process. A little bit at a time, they put together this beautiful program. I call the steps shame reduction. They allowed me slowly but surely to begin to reduce stuff. And that's why I'm grateful I didn't just do the steps once and stop. I'm working through them again, and I work through them again. I hope I'll work through them again. I hope I work through them another 10 times in my life. I don't know. All I know is it's a constant process of slowly learning something new, discovering something new, doing a little bit more growing, move to another direction. And do I get lazy? Sure, we all do. We all back off, then we come back. We go through this. It's that process of up and down we go through. It's all life. You're going to go through relationships. Some of them will work, some won't work. Things will happen. We'll go through changes. Some people will upset us. We'll actually meet people that, will drive us crazy. I like those people, by the way. You know what? Because they help me to have a little more patience, tolerance, more understanding and stuff to that effect. I mean, Loretta drives me crazy all the time. But I make up for by driving her crazy. We have a mutual driving crazy society. It's totally amazing. That's the fun part about life. But you'll learn that after a while, because when you truly do build these relationships of trust where I can share what's going on inside of me and open the doors up, then we can also enjoy one another, celebrate with one another. So much gratitude. And yet, we have to be able to get to that point. And that's one of the big things I'll talk about next week in healing the shame that binds us, because shame can literally bind you to a point. It can create physical problems inside of you, stress, anxiety, heart attacks, all kinds of tension, can really hurt you physically. The more you can relieve the stress, open it up, learn to relax, learn to take it easy, learn to go slow, learn to go through the process. Slowly but surely, things will calm. And you'll be able to be in the middle of chaos and insanity and be a person calm in the middle of it. Will it give you answers to life? No. There are no answers. It's a journey. Each one of us has to find our own way on that journey. And each one of us is unique. That's the fun part about it. And so as we begin to open up, we begin to share, we begin to reduce the shame that's inside of us. We begin to let go of the worry, work through our fears, work to the other side. And I've learned the most craziest thing in the world. And it's interesting, I was in my therapy session yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, Tuesday. I was in my therapy session yesterday, and my therapist worked with me on getting in touch with some of this concept of worry. You know, people may not know this when they look at me. I'm a worrywart. I was trained how to be a worrier. I was trained in these areas of my life. As a result, I'm learning through a little bit of therapy work. I'm learning through a little bit of work I do with others. I'm learning how to be able to tone it down, work through it, and realize I'm not in control. And realize that with prayer, being open to my higher power, that sooner or later I'll be led to where I'm supposed to be led. And here's the truth of the whole thing. The more you let go of control, the more you let go of worry, the more you let go of fear, the more you learn after a period of time, everything finds its way. Everything moves where it's supposed to move. Things will go where they're supposed to go. But the more we try to control it, try to organize it, and also try to hide it, the more destructive it becomes. And this is hard for codependents because so many of us have this thing inside of us, no one's ever going to hurt me again. Then we hurt ourselves. See, we say nobody else is going to hurt me, but I'll hurt myself by closing up, by shutting down. And again, it's hard sometimes just to be able to share your things with somebody and be close to one another, learn from each other. That's real intimacy, by the way. Real intimacy is being able to share the gift of yourself with another human being, knowing that the other human being is someone you trust, and the other human being is someone who will listen and be there and be connected to you. And that's what's important. That is the real gift of intimacy. And we learn after a while that literally we can't control others. We can't control life. We have to live it, not control it. And control is such a destructive process. It's just unbelievable. So we have to learn the process of letting go. We have to learn the process of spiritually having a sense of prayer. Open up our spirit, get in touch with it. You know, the beautiful part about us is we got this thing called our heart, the center of love. And it's also in battle with this head all the time. And so many times we think, well, God forbid, I can't talk about that. What will they think of me if I talk about it? But if you got somebody you can really trust and you start to talk about it, you know what you find out? It wasn't that bad after all. It was bad because it was inside of you. It fermented inside of you. But as you let it out and as you share it, it starts the process of healing. And the healing process is a slow but gradual process. Good healing takes time. Good healing works a little bit at a time. I never thought my wildest dreams that at age 82, I'd be sharing with a therapist things that happened to me way back when I was in my 20s and my 30s. I never thought I'd be able to do that. And yet those things that happened back then, were they embarrassing? Yes, they were. Were they scary? Yes, they were. And yet I know now that I can talk about stuff. I can work through stuff. Now, do I have more to work through? I hope so. I really do. And as you go through the process and work on stuff and take your time, relax. And the process, loosen up, have some fun, enjoy life, be part of it, be part of the journey, be part of the human experience. See, shame can get us and let us become so negative that we beat ourselves down all the time. Did you ever notice something? I shared this with you before. Other people see in us how special and beautiful we are. And when they give us compliments, we don't know how to handle them. We're the enemy. You know, Iggy said it beautifully. I met the enemy is me. We're the ones that are hard on ourselves. So as we melt that iceberg and begin to melt it, take your time melting it because stuff is going to start coming up. I don't know about you, but I know when I arrested my addictions, put my addictions down, I didn't like it. You know why? It was my cover. All my feelings started to come up. And that scared the hell out of me. I don't know how to deal with them. I thank God to this day, I'll get on my knees and say it. I had people in my life that helped me through this process. Don't try to do it alone. It's not going to work, because what you'll do is you'll just go back to the addiction. You go back to the embalming fluid. You go back to what you have to do to run away from it. Because as stuff starts to come up, you're going to look at life. And we're going to look at things in life and realize the fact that, wow, these were not things that were so negative. They were just teachable moments. They were experiences. They're things we all are going to go through. We have to go through them to learn more things about yourself. That's really what it's all about. And the bottom line is, how do we do it? To the school of hard knocks, to the school of bumps, I call them, to the school of experience, to the school of learning. Come on, that's what it's really all about. Even in relationships, things change in relationships. Now, stuff doesn't stay the same. Good God. That's why I say over and over again, the most dangerous thing to doing shame reduction work is perfectionism. I got to do it perfectly. Don't do anything perfectly, okay, please? Please. You know why? It doesn't work. There is no perfect. There's just that whole thing of, doing what you can do, learn this here, learn there, do the best you can, enjoy the day. The old timers at the South Philly group, the old time Italian guys used to say this all the time, and I loved them. They were a little nuts, but I like people that are a little nuts because they're kind of real. What can I tell you? But they were real. They used to say, "Hey, did you wake up this morning? You're on this side of the dirt. What's your problem?" Yeah, it's another day. You made it to another day. Wow. Do the best you can today. Learn something new. At the end of the day, say thank you for the day, good night, and go to sleep. If you wake up the next day, you say, wow, I'm back again. Here we go again. Try another day. Maybe I'll learn something else is new. I'll grow that much more. I'll discover this, I'll discover that. They look at life so simply. And yet I realize my problem is I think too much. You don't enjoy. You celebrate the little things that are around you. Each one of us have this day. So whatever's going on in your life, whatever your thing that hurts, the pains, the struggles, the things that maybe we just don't know what to do about, give it time. Take it slow. Try the process of sharing. Build some friendships and people you can share it with. Do it slowly and do it in time. I used to remember so many times, and I use this example, when I was young. I really was young at one time. I really was. I could keep telling Christina that I was young at one time. But the bottom line was, back when I was 29 years old, I really was. I went to my first 12-step meeting. It was Al-Anon. A friend of mine took me there because I was living with an alcoholic pastor as a priest. And I went to this wonderful meeting called Al-Anon. And these people at Al-Anon, they would not listen to me. They kept telling me to work on me. And I told them I didn't need any work. I had it all together. What do you mean, let me work? He's got the problem, not me. Give me the formula. Let me fix him. They never gave me the damn formula. They still kept telling me to work on me. But, I got that disease called compatosa. I'm a brickhead. It took me from 1969, when I went to the meeting, to 1986, when I finally broke the barrier and did my work. During that period of time, I probably went to 200 meetings during that time. I never did any work. I was too busy saving everybody else. I still was trying to find the formula to fix them. And finally, I realized I look in the damn mirror and say, I got to work on me. I got to work on me. I got to tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody I'm telling you this. It's a full-time job. And if you really do honestly work on yourself, then you will leave everybody else alone. Isn't that wonderful? Don't work on them, work on you. Look in the mirror. So a little bit at a time, as you grow and as you learn, you reduce things even more and more. You say goodbye to the old. You'll say totally goodbye to it because it's part of your history, but you embrace it. Bring it to a level where I can finally acknowledge it. And I can begin to learn from it. I begin to grow from it. I don't care what has happened in your life, even the most powerful traumas. You can work through them, you'll come out on the other side. A lady said to me one time, she said, how can I ever find something positive in what happened to me? All the abuse that I went through. I said, well, hopefully you'll get to a point where you can look back and say, thank you to the abuse. At least now I know what it is. And now I have the power not to allow anyone else to abuse me. I've moved to the other side. And I've learned that I can do things in a more positive way. So when we go through that process of healing the shame, working through the shame, it's not so much it's not getting rid of it. I'm sorry, you can't get rid of it. But able to bring it back and bring it into a place where I can grow, I can learn from it, I can experience from it, and let it become part of my nature, part of my makeup. You know, I had a lot of fun when I wrote, the last book I wrote was the story of my journey in my life, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But I look back on some of the stuff I did. I still to this day can't believe I did it. But it's also fun to be able to look back and realize the fact that we all have come through a lot. Everybody in this place right now has so many experiences you've come through. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. You've got experiences. You've got things you've gone through. You've got your hurts, you got your struggles, you got your wonder. You have to realize the fact that it's okay to look at them, embrace them, learn from them, but take your time and go slow. Recovery is not this magical process. I don't want magic. I love those words because every one of my EDA meetings, my Eating Disorder Anonymous meetings I go to each week, we read a paragraph. The paragraph says in there is no magic in recovery. There's nothing but hard work. And if you do the hard work, you will get the great rewards. And I love reading that, hearing that in the preamble and the concept that we read every week. It reminds me not to be done, not to sit on my laurels, but just to take a little bit at a time and keep learning. There's always something new to learn, a new place to go, a new adventure. And so shame of itself can be very negative, or it can eventually become a teachable moment. And so what I want to do next week is concentrate on the healing process of shame and talk about how we can take this shame and mold it into such a good experience for our growth process in life, no matter what has happened. You know, you talk about post-traumatic stress, PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. We all go through it. We all have it. People are going through horrible things in life. They're going through war. They're going through all kinds of things in life. They're going through hurt. They're going through loss. It's post-traumatic stress. It's there. Sooner or later, I have to be able to acknowledge it, get in touch with it. Otherwise, it'll haunt me and drive me crazy. It's all part of the process. I've done work with veterans who have been through horrible situations in life. My neighbor across the street was in Normandy, the Second World War. He's in his late 90s now. He's one of the few people that are left. And he talks about the horrible things that occurred. He said, I don't dwell on them now, Vince. They're part of my past. But you know what? I'm glad you're able to, I can sit down with you and we can talk. I can talk about them. I can talk about what I went through, what I felt, things that happened. He's in his late 90s talking about this stuff. Wow. I want to hug him is all I want to do. He has the courage to do this, to talk about it. And he says, you know, Vince, the more I talk about it, the lesser the pain gets, it goes down. it goes down, it goes down. Everything takes care of itself. So let's work on shame reduction. Whatever happened in our life, slow but surely, try to find some people that maybe you feel close to, where you can share it with and talk about it in confidence. Do some learning, do some growing. For some of us, we have major traumas and may even need therapy. Therapy's great. Therapy doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. It just means you're in a process of growing. That's all it means. So it's part of the process we go through in life. Now, I joke about this a lot. I say, if I ever had all the money I spent on therapy, I'd be a rich man today. But I look back, you know what I say? It's money I invested in me, and I am a rich man today because of the growth and stuff that takes place. That's really what it's about. And so my prayer tonight is that each and every one of us can call upon the God of our understanding, our higher power, our higher presence, whatever we choose to call that, for help, for guidance, for direction, to lead us and to send people into our life to help us on our journey. Let us pray. God, we come before you as a family tonight. We come before you in prayer. We call upon the God of our understanding, the God that we are connected to. We ask that you guide us and be with us. We ask for help. We ask for guidance. We ask for direction. We ask to be open to the messengers you will send into our life. Teach us not to be afraid, but to walk the journey of this earth, not in fear, but to walk it in love, not in worry, but to realize the fact that you got our back, not to drive ourselves crazy with guilt, to realize that we're doing the best we possibly can be. Guide us, help us, just to let go, to listen, to learn, and to grow. And remember, if we walk with you and walk with faith and walk with trust, then we'll be led to where we're supposed to go. So we ask God to bless us and guide us and lead us on the journey each and every day of our life to appreciate the days that we have. And we ask this and pray for this in your name. Amen. And now I'm going to turn everything over to the maestro on YouTube.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.